Welcome back to the show. We got a great one lined up. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on X, YouTube, and digperspectives.com for exclusive content. You can also join us in the Freedom Zone, where you get every daily daily video Google ad free. No Google ads, zero zip. That's what we're talking about, and extra content as well. And you can join right here under every title on YouTube to the Freedom Zone for next to nothing, or you could click down the drop-down box in the description and join on Patreon as well. So make sure you join us inside there. We're going to get into waste, abuse, and fraud today. You're going to love every single bit of it. But right now, let's stick in the crypto market here. $2.75 trillion market cap for crypto. The market's off 3.2%. 82,400 plus for Bitcoin, 1,800 plus for Ethereum. XRP number 4 spot's $2.10. We're off 2.6 in the 24. We're off 14.6 on the 7-day. The range of price here between 203 and 217. Now, I bought the dip over the weekend, but I didn't catch 203. Well, I tell you what, if this drops down, I seen it at 208 this morning. I was like, well, when I get done working today, I'm gonna buy the dip a little bit, and it's not big dips I'm buying. I'm not doing big buys, but just discipline. I'm trying to do a little something to keep that habit as an investor who buys the dips. And it's not financial advice. I'm just sharing what I'm doing, and obviously not. I can't do it every time, but when I say that, I'll say this too. When you hear me say that I bought the dip or that I bought something, I'm not just saying it for the channel. I really did that. So, if it drops down again, I may have to do something. Plus, Mrs. Backup's not home. How's she gonna know, right? Elon Musk calls to end the Federal Reserve. It's a little tongue-in-cheek, but it's just fun to hear.
What is your opinion on the Federal Reserve, and do you have any intentions of doing anything with them?
Should we talk about that guy's jacket before we talk about the Federal Reserve? I'm just kidding.
The Fed.
Anything with them?
And the Fed. Yeah. I don't know. I always wanted to say that, you know.
It's funny, but Representative Thomas Massey recently officially reintroduced the bill to do exactly that. End the Fed. Yeah. How about that? Now, I will show a piece of this video. I'm not going to do it right this second, but I do want to show this in the Freedom Zone, as well as talk about some waste, abuse, and fraud. So make sure you join us in the Freedom Zone today. But we'll get more into that. But it's nice to hear people in the administration, working with the administration, speaking with that kind of clarity and that kind of understanding the damage that the Federal Reserve has done all these years. Now, with that being said, we know that recently David Sachs, the crypto czar, announced that the FDIC has made it easier for banks to engage in crypto-related activities. This is one of the best ways to mainstream crypto further, thanks to the FDIC and acting chairman Travis Hill. What does this really mean? It means that over 5,000 U.S. banks can now enter the crypto markets as regulators lift approval requirements, signaling a major shift towards digital asset integration and streamlined oversight. I would feel horrible for anyone who got rid of their digital assets right now, right? Like, why would anyone ever do that, right? It's wow. I mean, not financial advice, but we have just seen the biggest go signal, green light go signal, checkered flag, the race is on. Banks have been waiting for more than a decade. They have been watching all of their customers walk across the street or open up an account right in their own home to a crypto exchange and buy crypto with money they're taking out of the bank to go buy. I think banks are going to come into this in a very big way, is the point, ladies and gentlemen. And Jason here from the All In podcast, who's, obviously in the All In podcast with David Sachs, the crypto czar, AI czar, says Tether should be banned until they do full audits that go back to day one. Far too much risk for the West to take. Far too little oversight, zero upside. Give the stablecoin business to audited US based firms. This is exactly what I've been saying, and attacked by others, but nonetheless, this is exactly what I've been saying. Everyone, even Paolo Ardoino, we have the sixth largest position in U.S. Treasuries. Okay, well, and as soon as they squash you like a bug, all those Treasury positions will flood right into USDC and the real USD and others. Isn't it? That's what Jason's suggesting. Well, let's keep going. I said, we've talked about this. The crypto market doesn't have the clarity it needs until we know where Tether stands with the United States of America, or where United States stands with Tether, however you like to say it. That's where we're at. And I'd like to add, Ashish Burla just said a few days ago, no way Tether becomes a federal qualified non-bank payment stablecoin issuer, right? There will be massive second order impacts of that. But in the end, or in the long term, the right direction. He's suggesting exactly what Jason is. What is the likelihood that Tether becomes a federal qualified non-bank payment stablecoin issuer? And I ask you this in a very serious way. So you're telling me that all the regulatory hoops that USDC, PayPal, the real USD have to jump through, none of that matters. They're just going to give Tether a pass. But everybody else had to do it different, right? That's what you're telling me. Dom from Easy A, anyone know any US based firms issuing stable coins after Jason suggests that Tether should be banned? Yeah, I'm thinking exactly what Dom is thinking. The real USD, baby. USDC. Come on in. We are modernizing our entire financial system, starting at the Treasury. Are you kidding me right now? I remind everybody very quickly, Craig Phillips, Michael S. Barr, Susan Friedman, Rosie Rios, the 43rd Treasurer, still sits on the Ripple board, and Susan Friedman's the head of policy over in the UK, I believe, still, working with the Digital Pound Association. What are we talking about here? You know what I mean? They're going to upgrade blockchain for the Treasury. We saw the order get signed by the president. All these people from the Treasury are going through Ripple's camp. Okay, I'm not saying it's only going to be Ripple. Sure, we may see Stellar and Chainlink and other protocols, but I just feel like we've got good things coming. Don't forget about Ripple and Fed now. Don't forget about that one. You're telling me Tether's going to qualify and be used every day in the back end of our U.S. banking system? Tether, in its current state and form, nothing changes? I don't think so. Here's something interesting. Look at this from Subjective Views. Ripple's Jack McDonald, Senior VP of Stablecoin, the real USD, was at a roundtable with Adrian Harris, Superintendent of the NYDFS. The discussion was around the evolving landscape of crypto asset regulation in the U.S. They explored the coordination that would be needed between domestic and international regulators to build a framework that balances innovation and market stability. Everybody's turning the lights on. Yeah, we're getting ready to bridge the world together, right? Here's what's interesting. I have looked at this photo for I don't know how long now. Maybe you can help me. Do you see Paolo Ardoino from Tether at this table? Things that make you go, And here we have this. Ripple's VP stablecoin Jack McDonald and Superintendent Adrian Harris of the DFS, working side by side to advancing technology. And you know what? And I said, yes, the same NYDFS that Ripple and Real USD are licensed with. That's right. Sitting right here at that table. But wait, there's more. And also, yes, the same Bank of England here We're thrilled to partner with the Bank of England in this kind of exchange for the first time, working together to strengthen regulatory framework, protect customers, and support innovation. That's what was going on at the table. Yeah, the Bank of England's there. That's all. Yeah, the same Bank of England that's a major hub for global finance, clearing, and settlement for the world. The same Bank of England that partnered with Ripple years ago. The same Bank of England, Mark Carney was the Bank of England governor at the time when they did the Ripple pilot with XRP. Yes, the same Mark Carney that is now the Prime Minister of Canada. Yes, the same Canada where the Royal Bank of Canada did Ripple XRP pilot years ago too. They're saying it right to our face. We are literally watching them go through the regulatory channels and proper meetings and discussions to turn it all on. What else are we seeing here? This is Jack McDonald talking about the progress, and it's hugely positive, but for the sake of time, I'm going to keep moving here. But it's hugely positive. Nothing gigantically revealing, but it's super positive. Blackrock CEO Larry Fink warns dollar at risk of losing world current reserve currency status to digital assets like Bitcoin. This is what they're saying. This is BlackRock. Okay, this is not a corner store. This is who the government goes to when they're in trouble. Hey, you guys, you want to buy everything up now because the Fed's wrecked the cycle, right? There's a plan to protect the US dollar status as the world reserve currency. Don't believe it, it's still true. And I had that conversation with Greg Kidd from Ripple. Yeah, listen to what he said. See if he's pushing back on the idea. XRP Ledger is the plan to underpin the US dollar for the next 150 years so we don't lose the reserve status. No, well, this is why I love the idea of a basket of assets, right? And I do mean like gold, oil, and digital assets alike. I mean, it stands to reason that that's the way you would want to go. I had a conversation a long time ago, back in 2019, with David Schwartz, where I was talking about with him about, having reserves of all kinds of different assets from all over this sector of, whether it's commodities or alike, really stabilize it. If you could underpin the dollar with all of those things, instead of just an agreement to print more or just a petrodollar agreement, then you really would have the confidence of a dollar for the next 150 years. What say you?
I agree.
Oh, that wasn't very tough. I was not expecting that response from him.
Well, but I mean, you really said it well. I mean, to me, it's just a risk to not take that risk. And,
Right.
and sometimes the biggest risk you take is not taking a risk at all. I said it in my election.
That's exactly right. And we're at that place, that inflection point where the United States government cannot afford to not take this risk. That's where this is. And that's how critical this is. At my house, this is not about green candles. This is about saving and reassuring our way of life for our children and children's children. That's what gets me up every day, where I can make videos 2-3 times a day for the last 7 years. This is much bigger than everyone just getting rich. This is really about our way of life. That's how I see this. That's how I see this. And it what gives me the fire every day to do what I'm doing. Now let's talk about the idea of zero capital gains really quickly here on U.S. domiciled digital assets like XRP, Solana, ADA, and possibly others that make America the leader in the Internet of Value. And I haven't floated this on the channel yet in our conversations, but I'm going to do it today. It may be, and I would love zero capital gains, and that may happen. And in fact, to that point, we just saw Canada come out, and now Canada's talking no capital gains on stocks, real estate, bonds, businesses, farms, and crypto. Sell it and buy a Canadian asset. That's what they want you to do. Now Canada's talking no capital gains on anything as long as the money stays in Canada. This just got a whole lot more interesting. Zero cap gains on U.S. domiciled digital assets still a problem? I was prepared to tell you in this conversation that it may just be that retail investors don't experience zero capital gains if they hold XRP, Solana, ADA, or other U.S. domiciled assets. But if you have a financial money transmitter license, or you're a bank, you might get zero capital gains. And wouldn't that give them dominance on the network? And wouldn't that be the incentive of all incentives for every financial institution to be on those protocols? And voila, just like that, we're the #1 protocol in the world, right? We're the leader of the Internet of Value is a better way to say it, even, right? Because it'll be multiple protocols. But my point here is that we could see zero cap gains for all of it, especially if other countries continue to push for a narrative like that. Then it may stay that way, and they may go to a fair use tax, because you could go to a fair use tax and eliminate the cap gain structures. I don't know what they'll do, but I just wanted to float the idea that we want to be careful, because they could go a direction where retail investors have to pay cap gains unless you're holding a money transmitter license or you're in fact a bank. And then you get a pass and don't have to pay capital gains on it because you're using this asset for payments every day and not for investment per se. It's hard to say. But, I think this is something that's worth bringing into the conversation, just like this right here. 16 hours left to keep this monthly candle up, says Egreg Crypto here. On the monthly time frame, candle needs to close above $2. We must not allow any part of this candle to close below $2. Well, that's it. Okay, I'm buying my little bag today. And when Mrs. Backup asked me, did you buy crypto? Because somebody will send her a message and tell on me. That's the truth. But nevertheless, all I'll say is then I could say, well, you know what, honey? I did it, and I didn't do it for us. I did it to help keep it above $2. That's what I was doing, making my contribution. Well, that is a lot of BS. But nonetheless, I might try to float it. I'm not above it. Listen, you guys are amazing. We're going into the freedom zone, and you're going to want to hear about all this waste, abuse, and fraud now. Woo-wee. Is it to the tune of corruption? Oh, my goodness. Anyway, not financial advice from me or anyone else. We're going into the freedom zone right now. I hope you will join us, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be a good one. Come on in. All right.